Hello and welcome to this video on the Canon 650D, the next steps. In this video you will learn how to set the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, how to set white balance, how to select the correct file type, what the different letter modes are, and how to focus manually. The 650D is very useful as almost everything can be set from the LCD touchscreen. But before you start, the first thing to note is that in order to access all options, the camera must be in manual mode, which can be changed by putting the mode dial into M. Also, the touchscreen is automatically locked unless you press the Q button located here. On the screen in the top left-hand corner, you will see the dial mode that the camera is in. For example, M for manual mode. Next to the M, you will see a fraction. This is shutter speed and can be altered to determine how long the shutter stays open for. The longer it is open, the longer the light has to expose the image. The 650D can go from 1/4000th of a second, which is a very fast shutter speed, to 30 seconds, which is extremely slow. For now, we'll set it to 125th of a second, which is a good average speed. Next to the shutter speed is an F number, or f-stop. The F number is the number we use to indicate how open or closed the aperture is. The aperture is the opening of the lens, and the smaller the number, the wider the aperture or opening is, allowing more light to get into the camera. Usually you will choose an f-stop in accordance to the light you have available so that your image is properly exposed. Next to the f-stop is the ISO number. The ISO is the camera's sensitivity to light. The higher the ISO, the more sensitive it is. Usually you want to make sure that the ISO setting is as low as it has to be. However, if you are working in low light conditions, increasing the ISO will enable you to see more of the image. But be careful when doing this, because raising the ISO too high can cause your images to become grainy. So where possible, always seek to boost your external lighting before considering the camera's ISO. 2 rows below the shutter speed, you will see AWB. This stands for Auto White Balance. This means the camera will decide what white looks like in different lighting conditions. There are presets that can be changed depending on where you are. They include daylight, shade, cloudy, tungsten, white fluorescent, flash, and custom, which means that you can set the color balance to a specific temperature of your choice. Below white balance, we have autofocus options. Autofocus can be in the form of one shot for focusing on still objects, AI servo for focusing on moving objects, or AI focus, which auto switches between the two. Next to this, we have shooting mode, which will allow us to choose how many shots we want the camera to take, or if we want self-timer shooting. The options are single shooting, continuous shooting, self-timer 10 seconds, self-timer 2 seconds, and self-timer continuous, which will allow you to press the shutter button to shoot a set number continuously in 10 seconds. In the bottom right-hand corner, we can select the file size, which will reflect the quality of the image. You can choose between RAW or large, medium, or small JPEGs. RAW is usually the best option because it means you retain the highest possible image. However, it has to be opened using special editing software, so you may want to choose the RAW plus JPEG option. In order to better familiarize yourself with shutter speed and aperture, it may be worth trying the camera in a semi-automatic mode. Program sets aperture and shutter speed for you, but allows you to select other settings like ISO and white balance. Shutter priority allows you to set the shutter speed and will adjust the aperture for you based on your choice of shutter speed. Changing the shutter speed can allow you to make moving objects appear still or capture motion blurring. Aperture priority allows you to set the aperture of your choice, and the camera will select the appropriate shutter speed. Adjusting the aperture can allow you to blur the background or keep both foreground and background in focus. Manual allows you complete control over the camera. You can set and change everything. Next, we will cover how to manually focus. If you look at the lens, you will see a switch that says AF, MF. In order to manually focus, you must make sure you switch the lens from AF to MF or from autofocus to manual focus. This will allow you to focus the ring at the end of the lens without any risk of damaging the lens. Turning the focus ring to the right will put objects that are near to the camera in focus. Turning the focus ring to the left will have the opposite effect, and objects in the distance will come into focus. Right, that's the end of this video. The next video in the series is 650D Advanced. But for now, it's goodbye and happy shooting.